Thank you, Jacob, for joining us. Let me give you a little bit of introduction. When it comes to commercial real estate, this guy is the real deal. I don't know if you guys heard of him. You may have. And speaking of the real deal, he's been featured in the real deal many times. He is SRE Commercial team here at London Foster, and he is also head of our commercial division. He's our commercial director, Mr. Jacob Serure. Thank you for joining.
Hey, Bobby, thanks for having me. So I know we said we were going to take questions in the end, but I kind of like that question that came up. I wouldn't mind starting a conversation on that. He says, what is the process to get commercial listings? How can you get contact of owners of commercial properties, PS, if you don't have access to CoStar?
That's a good question because that's
a good one.
The issues that a lot of the people trying to get into commercial have. I'm constantly asking CoStar to LoopNet. They don't really know how it works, the difference between LoopNet and CoStar and everything like that. So, sure, go ahead and start off with that. Why not?
So I would say this. I don't know how many people had the opportunity to look at the website and see what I've been up to. So in a nutshell, I've been doing commercial real estate for about 20 years. Learned it in the street, learned it old school. Back in the day, even 6-7 years ago or so, before CoStar and everything came up, we would do it the old school way. On the multifamily side. Let me pause there. I've sold a little bit of everything over the years. Development sites in Biscayne Boulevard, West Brickell, Edgewater, downtown Miami, multifamily all over town, from Little Havana to Hollywood to Miami Beach, even areas like Opa-locka, Liberty City, Overtown. I've been everywhere. I've sold in all of my neighborhoods.
And you've been doing that for quite a while. I mean, you've been,
Yeah, this is my 20th year doing this, so this wasn't white before, so, it's been a little while, but it's been fun.
The interesting thing about with all the areas and neighborhoods that you just mentioned, it's in residential sales, and I'm probably going to be speaking about residential sales quite a bit because that's where I'm focused on myself. But in residential sales, a lot of people just focus on the farming area, and I noticed that you said a lot of different areas, and I think that's one of the differences between commercial and resi that you do. You pretty much have a much bigger farm area when it comes to commercial property.
I've been in all different neighborhoods. Every deal I've done has probably been a record-breaking deal. Yeah. These are years where I didn't have SRE Commercial Group. I wasn't entertaining, mentoring, or teaching anyone the business or partnering up with anyone. It was myself. So, I don't know if it was necessarily a good thing that I was bouncing from North Miami to Little Havana, back to Miami Beach and other areas. I've done a handful of buildings in all these neighborhoods. Just in Miami Beach, I probably did 18 buildings alone. In Overtown, did probably about 200 units. This was back in 2010. The buildings are just as rough today, but today the market's at 80,000 a door, where I was setting the market in 2010 at 25,000 a door, and that was considered a lot of money.
25,000 a door was considered
25,000 a door was big money for Overtown back in 2010 because people were accustomed to 12 or 15 a door.
Yeah,
I was making records at 25 a door. Had I had London Foster in place, a team in place like I'm growing today, I probably would have left 2 or 3 guys to stay in Overtown for the past 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I jumped into North Miami, brought 2 people over to North Miami and trained them to work the North Miami market. This is what we're trying to accomplish with London Foster, where, those who have interest in commercial real estate, send me a message Bobby, and, we want to grow throughout the Tri-Counties. There's South Miami, Kendall, Hialeah Lakes, Miami Lakes, North Miami Beach, Coral Gables, all different subdivision markets where we should have at least 3 specialists in each one.
Right. Well, actually, we're going to get into that because that's actually what I'm saving. After I have a couple of questions I want to ask you, and we're definitely going to be getting into that and not only the opportunity but the experience that you're going to be able to bring to everyone in this partnership that we have in this opportunity. But first, I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. I wanted to. I know you have a team. You have an amazing team with you already that you brought with you. the SRE commercial team. But when you started your commercial career, I just want to delve a little bit into that because I wanted to know if you first started, right off the bat into commercial, or were you first a resi agent and then got into commercial like a lot of people do?
I'll tell you, I started 20 years ago. Prior to that, I was in the retail business for 10 or 13 years. Retail got killed with the internet and was basically, I'm a sales guy. I'm good at it. I'm a street guy. Got into real estate, and I joined a company called Arvida Realty in Miami Beach, and they got bought out by Coldwell Banker later on. And just like everyone else, I figured, let me sell a mansion on Palm Island or Hibiscus Island. How hard could it be? Or Pine Tree Drive, and I'll do residential.
Right.
Residential wasn't for me. Not that I was so into math and things like that in high school, but it didn't click for me. It wasn't for me, for several reasons. Back then, Biscayne Boulevard, between 20th and 36th Street, that now everyone calls Edgewater, just east of Wynwood, there was nothing going on there back then. My commercial director turned me on to the neighborhood. We were knocking on doors, talking to all the owners, assembling block packages, marketing them for sale to developers. And it wasn't easy, but that's where I started.
Right.
It was a lot of fun.
Right.
That was the place to start.
So you found out right away when you got into real estate, you started with residential first, and you were like, right off the bat, it's not really for me. I want to get into something like this.
I think mostly it wasn't for me because I was seeing people bringing in contracts in the office, $500,000 house, $300,000 condo, $1 million house. And I'm twiddling my thumbs at my desk thinking, I don't know anyone who has $50,000, much less 300 grand to buy a house. And, what am I going to do? My background was inventory. So it made sense to me, common sense. He who controls the inventory, controls the marketing, controls the transaction, knows what's really going on with the seller. Let me concentrate on inventory. And I got turned on to the commercial real estate, so we concentrate on inventory and commercial real estate. And that's how I got into it.
Right. No, that's interesting. It's kind of like you knew the direction you were going into, but then kind of focusing in that direction. Like, residential is not for me. I'm more attracted to commercial real estate from the very beginning, because there's a lot of people that have been in residential for a while. They like residential for a while, and then they'll try to kind of like segue into commercial. But that's interesting that you did it right from the very beginning. I had another question in regards to the being that you've been in commercial real estate for a long time. About the current state of the market right now. I mean, you've been in the market for 20 years. I myself have been in the market for over 20 years as well. But have you ever seen anything like what's happening now, with the pandemic and everything?
It kind of reminds me of when the market blew up back in, everyone refers to 2008, but the market really died in the beginning of 2006.
Right, I remember that.
I don't know, all the media, all the movies about 2008, but if you were in the game, you were brokering, it was done. I remember February 2006, the game was over. You maybe coasted a couple of deals into 2007. Yep. But
it started in 2006. Yeah, I remember that. It started. I remember my first short sales in 2006, the end of 2006.
We were involved. Just to pause for a second, another reason why I got into commercial real estate is because I wanted to be a principal also. And I saw more of a future learning how to buy buildings, apartment buildings, or land. And I figured the only way to do it was to be an agent, be on the ground, and see the opportunities. So in the past 20 years, I've bought a handful of buildings. I've done condo conversion. I was the first condo converter in West Brickell between 2004 and 2005. The last deal I did was land for development on West Avenue in South Beach by the Barton G's restaurant on West Avenue 14th. There's a corner lot, 16,000 square feet.
The corner lot right there with the apartment buildings.
No, they just have pilings right now in there. Just
north across the street.
Just north of the Waverly.
From Barton G. Yeah. It's been like that for years. I don't know what's been happening. It's like almost 15 years it's been like that.
The 05 developer put pilings in. And then I bought it from a guy who bought it in 2010. I picked it up for $2 million. We were going to build beautiful condos, sell them for $1,000.
So you're the owner of that. I passed that on.
I was. I learned the hard way. Never get emotional for your real estate. Everything is for sale.
Yeah.
You know, we got calls. We sold it for $4.5 million, and I figured some profit was better than no profit. We moved on. The guy today that we sold to still hasn't built, so it was a smart move to sell.
Question here. I heard to be in commercial real estate, you have to be well connected.
No, and
okay.
Well, listen, you got to put in your time. You know, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, do I know the buyers that I know today? No. No, but you have to make a decision. For those who want to get into commercial real estate, I'd say the relationships with the buyers will come. You'll learn them and get introduced to them through me if you work with me in a team respect. Otherwise, my advice would be concentrate on inventory. In this town, everybody's a buyer. There's a line around the block of a guy who's got $1 million, $10 million, $20 million who's a buyer. It's not a shortage of a buyer. There's a shortage of inventory and a seller who has his expectations managed where you can realistically make a deal. I would say concentrate on inventory. Make calls, knock on doors, get the face-to-faces with the owners, get them on the phone. We have scripts that we use. We send email blasts. We try to get as much positive relationships with property owners to gather the inventory. Not worried about the buyers.
I've seen your scripts and the process that you have, the business model that you have created for the commercial side, and it's amazing. It's such an opportunity. I'm telling you, like being in the business for so long and seeing that it's comparative to other professionals that have created scripts like that are made specific for that type of business. So I've seen it. I'm sure it works well. And we're going to talk about that also as far as the opportunity that people can have joining London Foster and also partnering up with SRE Commercial team.
So someone's asking, Jacob, you mentioned control the inventory and the marketing controls the deal. What do you mean by control the inventory?
Right. Mehdi's Mehdi's one of our agents as well.
So what I mean, unfortunately, in the last 5 years or so, there's a whole thing in commercial real estate of daisy chaining deals. I don't know if it happens in residential. It'll be, it's really Peter's deal, but he told Susan, who told, Mary, who told the other guy, Frank, and, to get to the real guy who controls the deal, there's 6 other agents. There's daisy chaining a lot. We don't daisy chain. Every deal that we have, we're direct with the owner. We're not pitching his deal or his deal. We're pitching our deals. Controlling the inventory.
Right. Exactly. Like I've witnessed that. I've experienced that before. You talk about people. It's like 4 or 5 people in the transaction that want
No, we don't go for that. We're old school. If you're not dealing with the seller, then I'm not dealing with you. You're not entitled to put your hand in my pocket.
Yeah, that's a good question, because I was actually going to ask you about what you thought about commercial wholesaling. It's kind of related to that. So, like, what do you think about that?
In the commercial wholesaling, I have a friend, a colleague who's also with us that came from the wholesale world. And I know wholesaling happens a lot with residential. I get it. But in my opinion, I think it's a different buyer. I think it's more of an end user, who's willing to pay a couple of dollars if you control the house on the wholesaling list, et cetera. But on the commercial side, I think that's just going to piss off your buyer. If I were to call up any of my buyers who I've spent years trying to get a good relationship, we have one buyer in particular. He can buy 10, 20, 30, $40 million. It took us 6 months just to get a face-to-face with him because he was like, Jacob, I got 30 guys a day who are trying to get in front of me. I don't have time for all you guys. And coincidentally, his best friend was a guy that I sold his building. So his friend got me an audience with him. Now we speak regularly. But if I were to bring a wholesale commercial deal to one of my buyers, they're not going to like it because they're going to see it as whoever the wholesaler is, whoever has that deal tied up, number one, does have no intention to close on the deal. They're a flipper, right? They're looking to flip the deal.
Exactly. I mean, to me, I think if you're going to do a wholesale commercial deal, then it's kind of like you're just going to do a one-hit wonder. It's going to be a one-hit wonder.
It's going to kill the relationship. Bobby, I'm going to bring you a 30-unit apartment building. It's under contract for $2 million, but the wholesaler wants $3 million. You're going to say, Jacob, this guy can't even close on the deal. I'd rather wait 30 days and contact the owner myself and save that $1 million and call him up. As a matter of fact, you may tell me, Bobby, Jacob, I think I'm going to call that owner now and let him know that he's under contract with a guy that has no intentions to close, that's shopping his building around, and I'm a real buyer. I'll show him proof of funds and I'll pay him the $2 million.
Right, exactly. And like we won't do a commercial wholesale as a brokerage because it's just too much liability, and you're not looking in the customer's best interest. If you can buy the property yourself, put up the funds, close on it, and then sell it at a going cap rate, not to the first time buyer trying to trick them into saying that 4% cap rate is the going rate, and actually the going rate is a 6% cap rate. Then that's fine. There's the right ways to do things, but that's just my take on it. Yeah.
On the wholesale side, for maybe an assignment fee, you're looking to assign the contract.
Right, and as long as everything's
$50,000 fee, okay, fine. It's not insulting. It's not a slap in the face.
Right.
But for our buyer to bring a wholesale kind of deal like that, they would probably say, Jacob, this is probably the last time we're going to talk. Now you're playing the novice card with us, and we thought you knew better. I wouldn't risk the relationship. Right. I'd rather say to the agent who brings me the wholesale deal, which is probably not his deal, he probably saw it on the internet, hey, how do you think that guy tied up that property? How do you think the wholesaler tied up that 30-unit apartment building? He made the calls, used a smart script, and he got to the owner direct. Why don't you do that?
Right.
Do what that guy did. That'd be my message.
Right. Exactly. That's a good point. Absolutely. We have actually, I see here, I'm not sure if this is the right name, but it's Margot. She's asking, is it a good idea to buy an empty lot of land and wait for a buyer? And what do you usually pay going forward? Mortgage, taxes, but no flood insurance, no association, etc. I'm not sure if I understand that question correctly, but
you're talking about buying dirt, right?
Yeah, it's talking about buying land.
I'd say if you're buying dirt, your intentions are to build on it. Let's say it's your intention to build a multifamily building. In this environment now, I'd say don't tie up your cash. Your liquid cash, tie it up on dirt that's not income producing.
Right.
I wouldn't do it. I'd rather buy an income producing property. Or if your intentions was to buy dirt to sell later on to a developer, why not study your zoning maps and buy existing structures that have zoning to go up 8 floors or 10 floors and let the existing structures cash flow during that period of time.
Exactly, because when you buy a piece of land, you have to realize that you're not going to get any money. It's a piece of liability, pretty much. You have to pay taxes on it, and you're not getting any money, not even to compensate for whatever you're paying. It doesn't mean to make a profit, but at least something coming in to kind of offset the expenses. But,
listen, we're doing, one of the guys that joined the team, he's hitting it hard, making the calls, using the script, and a portion of our script actually tries to take us to the other side of the fence from the other agents who's calling. It's a little complicated, but basically we're acknowledging in our script to the owner, Bobby, you probably get 20, 30 calls a day. We're calling it out right off the bat in our script. Bobby, you get 20, 30 calls a day, right? And then you're saying, yeah, Jacob, I do get 20, 30 calls a day. We're not like those guys. And the script goes into why we're not like the last 20 calls you did. So if there was a fence and there was 30 agents calling on this fence and you think we're here, our script puts us to the other side of the fence where we're standing next to you, looking at all those 30 agents who are trying to get a conversation with you. Try to get a little more personal and get to the other side with the owner. We call it out. You get 20 calls a day. We do.
Right. I was going to actually ask you about the system that you have. And speaking of that, being that you brought that up, well, what is it exactly that puts you in that position? Well, what is it? Is it like your secret sauce, or is it the part of the script, the part of the business model? You don't have to divulge everything.
It's a little bit of a secret sauce. If you guys are interested, we'll have another conversation about it. But listen, speaking to these owners, you're calling up. It's psychological. We've got 20, 30 calls already from boiler scripts. They're bored of the script. Do you want to hear you say the same thing the last guy said?
Right, because it's a small world. It's a small world in the commercial world. Right. Yeah. I mean, like when you have a commercial property, I've noticed that a lot of people are shopping that commercial property around, and then they'll talk to someone and like, yeah, I know that property. I was pitched that property already 3 times. So It's a small world, much smaller than the residential world. You know,
It is a small world, but we've been lucky to be able to find, I guess, virgin sellers, virgin properties. We don't refurbish someone else's deal or,
right.
you know, with CBRE's deal last year. What are we going to do with that? They already marketed it. They already loop netted it. There's nothing we're going to do. We really turn over the stones and find deals that no one knew about.
Right.
And that's what gets us ahead.
Right. I actually want to ask a question here from Ted Finkelman. Ted Finkelman is one of our realtors as well. He's actually a realtor here and in Las Vegas. So he asks, what's your take on how many businesses will close as a result of this, thereby affecting commercial real estate? That's his first question. He says, they're saying something like 30% of the businesses may not come back in Vegas. I was in Vegas during the last crash, and commercial lagged behind residential. Probably going to be the opposite this time? Question.
Listen, going back to the last crash, well, for sake of conversation, we'll say it was a 2008 crash, although we know it was earlier.
Right, it was 2008, but it was, right.
It was real estate based. You know, I was going to Merrick Park and Coral Gables. People were going out to eat, drinking, eating. It wasn't affected. What's going on now is just like it's global. Everybody. You know, I don't want to speak on behalf of, you know, other businesses, et cetera. What I would say on the real estate side, pre-corona, you know, we probably had maybe like 15 million, you know, that we were going to very close to signing on a building in Hialeah. Corona came, boom, died. You know, Corona was a different environment today to make a deal today. I think more important, it's to establish relationships with the sellers, letting them know who we are, what we can do, what our experience is. We're not the last 20, 30 guys that called. We educate them. We send them our links, our featured sales. And then we take a human stance with them. We sympathize with what's going on. You know, like there's a saying in Spanish called confianza. You know, like we just try to establish a positive rapport with the seller where they feel like they can speak to us as person to person, not feel threatened. I think they feel threatened. 30 people calling a day. All they want to do is sell my property, make money. They're not thinking about my 1031. They're not thinking about value of my property. You know, we try to get past that, and where the seller opens up and says, you know, they can maybe spill the beans, tell us how they really feel about things, maybe speak about their family, etc., and establish a comfort level with them. And then we'll go back to the real estate. You know, I think now, you know, I tell everyone, you know, are we going to make a deal in the next 30 days? Yeah, I'd love to, but the reality is probably not, because the sellers holding tight because they're still pre-corona with their pricing. They still think they're going to get, you know, a 5 cap buyer, and the buyers don't want to buy at a 5 cap because they're saying, Jacob, you know, whatever rent roll you're giving me today doesn't mean anything. You know, collections are off. People don't have jobs. You know, how am I supposed to evaluate the income?
Right. That's the biggest concern now, especially during Corona. That's a lot of people are, well, they say that a lot of people, they're concerned about them not paying their rent, the vacancy rates going up, the fact that some of the areas are not allowing evictions. So they're worried about that. I believe it's still yet to be determined as far as the numbers coming out. What are the default rates and things like that? So I think that's one of the concerns of the buyers now. But I think now is a great time. I actually had a webinar about this last week. We interviewed Tom Ferry, and it was a great interview about taking a step back, being prepared. And in commercial real estate, I think it's a great time to do that because, I mean, you just heard in the news yesterday that there's a lot of promising results with new medication as far as the coronavirus and things like that. So, you know, people are hard working on this. The government is hard addressing this hard, and you want to be ready for when this starts to change. Whether it's fast, whether it's slow, it's going to change. Okay, we're all not going to die, and everyone, you know, buy gold and buy their bunkers like back in 2008. I remember that. They even had a reality show about people buying bunkers. It was crazy. It was insane. So a lot of people like to use fear for their benefit. But, be the person that takes a step back and thinks about what's going to happen in the future and be ready. And I think that your opportunity that you have created for people to be able to join your team and not only gain the experience, but the money, the opportunity out there to make a lot of money is
Bobby,
for them to take advantage of now.
All right, so to be ready, let's define to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
To be ready, in my opinion, means to have the relationship with the seller and to have access to their inventory. When the floodgates open and buyers are ready to buy, you're going to get stampeded. You're not going to be able to establish a relationship with a property owner. They're going to say, I already have my agents I want to deal with. They're already bringing me buyers.
Exactly.
The phone is ringing too much. Jacob, I don't know who Jacob is. For the next 60, 90 days, we call the owner, call him every 3-4 weeks. When I do call that 90th day, oh, yeah, Jacob, sorry. I've been getting so many calls. Yeah, Jacob, how are you? In parentheses, Jacob's been calling me. Jacob stays on top of me. I know who he is. Yeah, we'll let him into the club. Hold the rest out.
Right.
And then I make a deal. I bring them a buyer. We have to prepare ourselves with inventory. The buyers are there. Prepare ourselves with inventory, making the calls, establishing the comfort levels with the sellers, letting them know we know what the business is. Before we would say we want to meet with people. We don't, in the team we call we're not Domino Pizza agents. Hi, Bobby, how are you? My name is Jacob, SRE Commercial Group. How are you today? Blah, blah, blah. Are you receptive to offers? Most property owners say, yeah, sure, just send the offer. And most agents say, okay, I'll send you an offer. I send you an offer if I can't speak intelligently about your property. Right. Bobby, I want to send you offers. I do have real buyers. I don't work with fake buyers. Here's my website. Here's my press release. I know what I'm doing. I need the basic ABCs to speak intelligently with my buyers. What are the basic ABCs? A rent roll, basic expenses, your unit mix, any capital improvements that help me get you the best offer. And we want to get the owner to give us information. I thought you said you have an offer.
Right. And you teach all of this. You teach all of this in your program that you have.
Yeah. Just think of it logically. How can you bring an offer unless you know something about the building? And in the script, if the owner tries to give us some kickback, listen, Frank, if I were to call up Bobby, who takes my calls, Bobby with 500 units, he's betting me, he likes me, he takes my calls. But the day I call Bobby and tell him, hey, Bobby, I got a 50-unit building in North Miami Beach. The owner wants $5 million. And Bobby says to me, Jacob, do you have the ABCs on the deal? And I say, Bobby, I don't. That'll be the last time Bobby takes my call. And then I'll say to the property owner, same relationship I want to have with you. Every time you see Jacob calling you or someone from my team, you'll take the call because we have something intelligent to say and to offer. So we try to manage the expectations of the sellers. I know I'm jumping around with the script a little bit.
But it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. As far as building rapport and establishing it, that relationship with the customer in the beginning. And that's kind of what separates yourself. It's what separates the professional realtors from the others. It's what separates the people who are the top producing agents and the closers from the ones who are always struggling. The ones who are always just living paycheck.
On the commercial side, Bobby, there's a lot of competition. I got a deal last summer, an 84-unit deal, Brownsville, Miami. I was up against the commercial guys at Douglas Elliman, up against Marcus and Millichap, a guy from Collier's, and some other shop. Because I was willing to go the extra mile, maybe drive there a little more face-to-face, a little more rapport, I got the deal.
All right.
So we work a little harder, and we do a little extra to get the comfort level with the owners. And then we underwrite the deals. We provide our underwriting. Oh, my property is an 8 cap, Jacob. Yeah, let me see your numbers. Actually, it's not. It's really a 5.5 cap. And we show you why. I'll teach the underwriting to the London Foster agents, turnaround taxes, what insurances should be, all the utilities, repairs and maintenances, management, etc. Vacancy factors. And owners, although they're beating their chest, I'm a 7 cap, once you see their underwriting, they know. They're trying to BS us that they're generating more income. Come on, you're not full 100% of the year. You've never fixed anything. You never paid for eviction. Come on, your NOI isn't what it is.
Right.
And they appreciate that. And then, as much as they don't want to see it, They know it's true, and then we have a positive relationship with them.
Right. No, that's interesting because also getting into commercial real estate has a lot to do with being able to know the numbers and know the figures and how to calculate the figures, know how to calculate the cap rate, the cash on cash ROI, and things like that. But about that, I was going to ask you how much, because people think getting into commercial is very complicated. They think that it's so much more difficult than residential and this and that. Even though it is based on numbers and based on calculations, formulas, and that, how difficult is it? Is it really that difficult, like they say it is? I mean, there's a lot of people saying that, and that's one of the reasons that holds them back. But what's your take on that?
I think it's all difficult. That's my take. I'll be honest. Every year is difficult. You just have to keep moving forward. You can't move backwards. I think the more knowledge you have while you're moving forward and with being with the right team will get you somewhere quicker. And focus. If you're only calling 3 people a day, you're not going to get anywhere. You're staying on top of your calls and circling back to the people you've called before. Let them know who you are. Keep the name in their head of who you are, what company you're with. You're going to get somewhere. You show them that you know the deal, you know the market, you know how to underwrite properties. They'll remember you. Get in your car. Go drive over there. See if they're there. Sometimes they're there managing. Go in. Spend the freaking gas. Go the extra mile. The other CBRE guys are sitting in air conditioning all day. Go out there. Get sweat up a little bit. Go walk their property with them.
Right.
Put a little time in. Establish a comfort level with them. Go the extra mile.
I think that's a great point, right? Comparing to the other companies out there like CBRE or Marcus & Millichap, a lot of them are just really kind of like had that corporate mindset. With us, it's a little bit more personal. Actually, it's a lot more personal. It's much more hands-on training and showing you how to get that personal relationship and build that rapport with the customer that actually makes the difference. Being able to take the extra steps that it takes to be able to win that customer as opposed to the competition. Because like you said, there's a lot of competition out there. I know that you've been in commercial for a long time and you've done quite a few big deals. And you have a portfolio and inventory, including I believe you have the big development property right now on West Drive in North Bay.
On the West Drive.
Yeah, but what are the most, or what is the majority of the type of properties that you focus on? Like, is it A-rated or B-rated or C-rated properties, or is it?
No, the A stuff. I think there's too many gatekeepers to get to the real owner, the real decision maker. It's too corporate, too many gatekeepers, too many secretaries to go through. Unless it happens to be your golf buddy. I don't play golf, so it's not to be my buddy. Mm-hmm. The B stuff doesn't have too much value add. The buyers are looking for value add deals. They don't want to walk into everything has been rehabbed, the rents are top notch, and they say, Jacob, there's nothing for me to do here. This is just me throwing my money down at a 5 cap. The rents are topped out. The building looks beautiful. I can't do anything here. All I got to worry about every day is am I going to go south if the market turns around? They like C, D properties. That's what the buyers want. That's what the multifamily guys want. That's what a warehouse guy wants. We concentrate on the C stuff. And fortunately for us, state is filled with C property, D properties, and so is Broward.
Right. So I want to kind of touch or actually get back to the people that want to get started in commercial. Being that you're a seasoned commercial broker and have been in commercial for a long time again, I wanted to ask you for the people who are just getting into commercial now, what should the realistic expectations be for someone getting into the business of being a commercial agent or broker in the first 6 months or first 12 months?
I think if you're 100% and you're not, I got another job on the side, but then I guess no one has another job on the side today, so forget that. If you put the time and you learn the script and you pick up the numbers, I think you'll get the ABCs within a 3-month period. During those 3-month periods, you'll be making calls. I like to say that you should see some light at the end of the tunnel, month 5, month 6, but you got to put in the time. You can't let these owners push you around the phone. As soon as they smell blood in the water, forget about it, you're done.
Right.
With these owners, they'll just call you out, and be like, you flinched, next call. And they'll take the next call.
Right.
I think if you're into it and your mind is into it and you're not afraid of making calls and hitting it hard, I mean, pre-corona, I'd say you should expect to see something going on within the first 6 months. Then it's a level of what kind of deals you're concentrating on. Do you want to concentrate on a $500,000 deal or $1 million+ deal? I'd say if you're with us, $1 million deal for us is like, very low for us. We don't want, not that we don't want to do it, just we did a $1 million deal last year. At the same time, I was babysitting a $7.6 million deal and another $7 million deal. The same effort to babysit the $1 million deal was the same for the 7 and 7.5.
And that's 7 times more commission.
Yeah. So I would say it's a numbers thing. I learned that 20 years ago. I'd rather jump into what's 3% of this, what's 4% of that. I'd say, hey, Jacob, pull me up a list of warehouses, retail, or whatever you want to specialize in. Or Jacob, we like multifamily, and let's start calling guys that own 50+ units.
Right. No, I mean, I hear that a lot as far as, which is true, is commercial is all numbers. It's no emotion. And that's so true. I think that a lot of agents that want to get into commercial real estate don't realize that exactly for what it is. They have a hard time kind of understanding that, but that's exactly what it is. If you like numbers, then get into commercial real estate. If you like emotion, then get into residential real estate.
But there's a certain amount of psychology in the commercial also. You got to be able to read between the lines. Owners and sellers like to posture. They like to become like 2-year-old toddlers. You got to know what it is. Let them beat their chest. Let them fume when they want, and sometimes learn to take it with a grain of salt. Those who are on the team, everyone has their role. And for me, I'm the guy that's like, I'll do the heavy lifting. Until you're ready to do it, I'll do the heavy lifting. Make the calls, give me a face-to-face, get me on the phone. I'll do the heavy lifting. Be there involved, learn the heavy lifting from me. 15, 20 years ago, if owner would have said to me, Jacob, you want to sell, go F yourself. Don't F and call me again. I'd be like, okay, bye. And then I learned from experience. I look him up 3 months later, and that freaking guy sold. I'm like, that on me, man. I took it personally. He told me to go F myself and scratched him off the lip. Here he goes. Somebody else called and made the deal.
Somebody else.
I sold the building in Miami Shores probably 4 years ago. Very tough owner. It was worth probably $9 million. I got on 14. We got retraded to 12.5. And this guy would repeatedly be like, I can't sell. It's cash flow. It's cash flow. I don't want to sell. I don't want to sell. He would tell me on a Friday afternoon. Old days, I'd say, okay, fine. There's nothing to talk about. Comes Monday. In experience, I know, it's Saturday, Sunday. I'll talk to him Monday. He'll probably forgot everything he said to me. And they usually do. These are things like I'll teach, I'll learn you. There's a lot of posturing from sellers.
Right.
Sometimes they just want to, I've learned there's one guy I have where everyone's like, why do you always go visit him around 12:30, 1 o'clock? I'm like, because I know the guy. I got to go see him after he's had lunch. His belly's full. He's had his coffee, and he's willing to have a good conversation.
Right.
We have a question here that I think could be interesting that has to do with marketing. So spending in advertising, internet, website, mailing, etc. will be a good thing to do right now, or do you suggest wait a little bit more for a more clear time after the reopening?
Right, so now we're just talking on the commercial side. On the commercial side, my experience of doing mailers and postcards and all that, I've never gotten anything out of it. Never gotten anything out of it. No one has ever said, hey, here's a flyer from Jacob, sold 18 buildings in South Beach. Let me call him up. Never. I haven't been blessed with that kind of luck. For me, it's always been the hard way. Make the call, get the face-to-face, establish a comfort level with the owner. Some people have that luck. I've never had that luck. I hear it goes into trash, maybe works in the residential. I say save your money. We have the script. We've got a good website. We've got press releases. Use me to help you. Use me and say, we sold 18 buildings in South Beach. I'll give you that okay to do. I'll give you that green light.
Right. This is what's one of the best parts of the program itself, is because when you join London Foster and you join the SRE team, you become part of that team. Now that becomes part of your credentials when trying to go out there and get business for the team. It becomes, that's one of the benefits. You're a team now, so now you guys work together, and not only you build on each other, but everyone benefits from everyone's results. Of course, you benefit more from the results that you bring. But so let me just go ahead and say that being that we're in the middle of this, if you guys are interested in joining and being part of the commercial team, you can reach out to Jacob or to me. We'll put our contact information in the notes or in the chat room. I realized early on that residential brokering is really dealing with different people and personality types, and commercial is dealing with different properties. But I know that you said when you were dealing with commercial, you also have to kind of put a little bit of that emotion into the customers when it's commercial properties. Is that something that is that you deal with on a regular basis, or is that something that is just a little part of the equation? Because I'm trying to compare more when it comes to resi compared to commercial, and dealing with the customer and building that rapport with the customer.
I think the rapport with the property owners, it's they need to trust that they're going to give you a 6-month, 3-month, whatever period, or even their financials, that you're intelligent, that you have the expertise to sell their property.
So with that being said, one question from Bert is, how do you secure your client on a commercial deal and ensure you don't lose or they cut you out of the deal?
Well, first we get past the positive relationship with the seller. The seller provides us with a rent roll, unit mix, any capex improvement to the property. They provide us with all the ABCs that I feel I need to be able to understand their property. Then I think they're on our same radar. I think they're on the same page with us. So that's a positive to me. If they don't want to give us anything, we're not wasting our time. Nothing's going to happen. If they want to give, we get them in the giving mode. Then we're reeling them in. In the old days, we'd give them a whole sheet of information we want. Sometimes I think it scared them away. Now we try to just get a little bit, then ask for a little more. Can I get a rent roll, unit mix? Here you go. What's your water? What's your insurance? What's this? What's that? And get them used to knowing psychologically that we're going to be giving information to Jacob. At the end of that, they're used to giving us information. We try to get listings in place, try to get some kind of an agreement in place with them. If we can't get anything in place with them, which is common in commercial real estate, I've done, what you call off-market deals that it just won't give the listing. But if we have the ABCs from A to Z to be able to put this deal together intelligently for a buyer, we'll make the decision if we want to bring a buyer to the property. One factor in us giving it a green light is the nature of the seller. Is the guy an a-hole? Is he a scumbag? If we're getting good vibes from the guy, it's like, no, that guy's a shark and he's a scumbag. Thanks for the information. If we can't secure the listing, we won't waste time. Assuming we're getting the good, spider feeling from him, our spidey senses are saying this is a good guy. Just unfortunately had a bad experience, won't give the listing. Then we'll work the deal. We'll work out some kind of registration with him. But then we're forced to get the protection on the buyer side. So on the buyer side, learning the hard way, we have them sign an NDA. Buyer, an
NDA is one of the protection documents,
right? It's a confidentiality agreement / non-circumvent agreement. Everyone has probably seen a confidentiality agreement, CA. What you haven't seen the CAs is circumvention clauses. I never understood. What's the point of having my buyer sign a CA if there's not a slap on the wrist clause if he goes behind my back and makes a deal?
And that's the non-circumvent.
No, the CAs, go look up a CA. I'm sure agents here have seen them. If you look at them, there's no penalty to the buyer if they go behind your back. Just don't do it. So learning the hard way, ours has a circumvention clause that, Bobby, you signed my NDA. I bring you a deal. I know you've never seen this deal. All offers, all interest, all tours, all everything regarding this property go through me. You go behind my back, Bobby, you're on the hook for 3%, paid within 24 hours of written notice. And you're on the hook for all my legal fees to collect.
Right.
I make sure that I've got you where I don't have a listing on the seller. I got a listing on you. I've got you good. If you want to buy this property, be above board, do the right thing. I brought you the deal. You never saw it before. Do the right thing. You're dealing with me. Decide not to do the right thing. My NDA protects me.
Right. That's so important because that's probably one of the. I spend more than half my time on trying to explain that to agents who are not too familiar with how commercial works. Because a lot of it is, putting your protection documents in place and your NDAs and NCNDs, making sure that that's covered first.
You can't get the protection from the seller, get it from the buyer. He goes behind your seller, contacts your buyer. Hey, that was a scumbag move to do, Mr. Seller. I thought we had a good rapport here, but in any event, I've got this guy on an NDA for the next 2 years. He's married to me. He can't do anything without me. That's your protection. You get a listing on your buyer.
That's one of the most important things about being with the right team and being with the right mentor, because I know that you have all of those in place with everyone that you work with. The whole structure of your team has that taken care of. So that's so important because you look almost like a fool you're spending all your time doing that if you're working on it by yourself and just trying to get a commercial deal done. You're trying to figure it out. Do I get it from the seller? Do I get it from the buyer? Do I get it from both? Which document do I just have them sign? The NDA, the NCD, so many different acronyms that get all mixed up. So that's why it's always good to, make sure you're doing your commercial deal with the right person, and your team has that set up already, so you can focus on the business, focus on bringing value to your customer as opposed to just focusing how you can protect yourself.
I want to give you an example of a deal. So one of the guys, we create our inventory list, who to call, gather phone numbers, etc. So we got direct with a property in Edgewater for development.
Wow.
So I can't say so much about it, but it's basically like a $40 million deal. We secured like a 2% commission on it. And because we do have the code start, it makes things a little easier today. In the old days, it was harder. We're printing out who are all the developers since 2010. So we have all their phone numbers. We're contacting every single one. We give them a teaser on the deal, see if they'd be interested in this kind of property. If they express interest, they sign the NDA. Maybe 5% want to argue the NDA, don't want to sign it, want to change it. And then, myself and the team discuss how we feel about it, and we basically feel that if you want to change our NDA or negotiate it with us, you're not an above board guy. 90% of the people are signing it, and you want to argue a sentence, it's not negotiable. And the fact that you want to argue my NDA means we don't want to do business with you. Right. So we cut you off. The deal, the opportunity that we have, the Edgewater deal, everyone's on the team knows the deal. They have an opportunity to work the list and call and bring a buyer. So we kind of cooperate the deal in that respect. Everyone has an opportunity to make a commission off the deal that maybe, Bobby, you procured. That you and I are working exclusively, you procured, but the others have the opportunity to bring the buyer and partner.
Right. It's always like goes back to just cooperating and being having that experience where some people learn the hard way and they go through all these issues, and they lose so many deals in the process, and they're like, damn it, let me just be straight up, transparent on the up and up. Let me not be so freaking greedy, and just do things the right way. And then you end up closing deals, and you end up weeding out the people who used to be like you, or used to be like me. If that's the case with you, you know what I mean. You weed out the people because you know how to identify them, and you don't want to work with them. They're just a waste of time. Your time is valuable.
No, I agree. There's a question that came in at 355. Do you see it? I made an offer in February in a hotel in Kissimmee.
355. I don't see.
355. Came in from.
Went to you.
Does it say Roger?
Roger
Charland?
Yes, I'm sorry. I said I made an offer in February on a hotel in Kissimmee. I negotiated with many listing agents. They were all at 3% of 50%, which is 1.5%. Is that the standard? I had another person ask that question. I was going to ask that, by the way. What is the standard in commercial real estate as far as commission?
In my opinion, because I've been doing this so long, we're not wholesale guys. Bobby, you're a buyer, you're qualified. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. We want to bring you opportunities, but these are our fees. I was doing this when it was 6 to 10% fees. So am I going to do a deal for 1.5%, 1%? No, we're going to let that one go. We're not putting a buyer and seller together and it's split up 1% to 1.5%. We've stayed firm on deals. We have. I'm trying to be a little nicer about it because the rest of the market has negotiated their value down, in my opinion. I think this happened in the 05 market. Everyone got a license, and everyone would just use the terminology, pouring out their value where I'll do it for 1%, I'll do it for 2%. What are you talking about? It used to be 6%. You just screwed it for the rest of us. Yeah. We ask top dollar, and we'll fight for it. And if the owner's like, why? The next guy will do it for 3%. We'll come up with reasons why they need to understand that we want 4.5, 5, 6. So we fight for top dollar.
That's such a great point because it begs. It's almost like right now I'm thinking of the pink elephant in the room. It's like a lot of beginners don't realize this actually, that your customer, you actually should be profiling your customer. Because your customers are not always the angel. They're not always innocent. They're not always the person that's out there like always telling the truth and always being honest. Sometimes, just like with the other agents and other associates you want to deal with, you don't really want to deal with them. Some customers, they want to, devalue what you're bringing to the table or your assistance or your help or your knowledge or experience. And there's nothing wrong with what I used to call firing your customer, if they're going to do that to you, or if they're not going to be honest with you on a regular basis. I'm dealing with, we go to mediations or we go to arbitrations or we're dealing with, legal issues. And a lot of times the outcome is like, well, the associates were being very professional, but the customer was not, kind of putting one against the other and, trying to do that so they can get a deal. So I think that's an important part that a lot of beginners need to realize.
No, we'll take a pass. But that's why before Corona, we pushed. If you're a property owner and you want us to bring you an offer, whether listing, off market, whatever it is, we want a face-to-face. We're old school. We tell them we use an old school approach. We shake hands. We make eye contact. You have a cup of coffee. We want to meet you. Put a face with a voice. We're not Domino's Pizza. You want a couple of Domino's Pizza agents? They're out there. That's not us. Bobby, we had a good conversation on the phone. We want to bring you real buyers for your 50-unit building in Hialeah. I need 15 minutes of your time. Right. And I do it because then I can vibe you out and see if it's worth my time or not. And then you have the opportunity to meet me and be like, Jacob's more real than he was on the phone.
Right.
So we push for face-to-faces. But I'm seeing about this. They finally agreed to. He was doing a deal with Eminem, right?
Where Marcus. And
on the team, my what I tell everyone from day one is we're focused to find our own inventory, our own deals. We don't want to deal with bringing our buyers to an Eminem property or a Joe Schmo property, whatever it is. Why? And it never fails. This always happens in commercial real estate. Every time I say, Brad, I know you're new to it, you don't get it because maybe it works in residential, and which commercial was like that, but let's try it this time. I'm always right. You bring your buyers to these other agents for the other shops that you don't have a relationship with. You don't know who they are. They're just a name on a piece of paper. most of the time it's, Jacob, thanks for the offer, but we went under contract. They take your offer, they call their 5 buyers. Hey, we got an offer from this Jacob guy. If you don't get off the fence and pay $100,000 more, you're going to lose the deal. They'll use our contracts to shop their buyers and come up to make a deal. Or how do I know they're even presenting my offer?
Right.
How many times, maybe it happens in residential, you present the formal offer and a far bar contract, and all you get back is a phone call. Jacob, he won't take 10 million, he wants 15. Well, now you're embarrassing me. I gave you a formal offer, I showed you respect, counter my far bar contract. Because one, I don't think you presented the offer. How do I know you presented the offer? Show me respect. How am I supposed to go back to my buyer and tell him to renegotiate himself and rebid? You know, it's just, to me, that's all just a waste of time. It's negative. You know, at the end of the day, let's find our own inventory that we can control and deal direct.
Right. I had a pretty negative experience with Marcus and Miller Chat myself. I think
that was the one that I kept calling you about, right?
Yeah.
I told you, I knew it.
Yep, and it was exactly what you said. We put in an offer for a property. It was actually two buildings, 2 pieces of property right next to each other, and they were contingent upon, one was contingent upon the other purchase. There was a building on one, and the other one was vacant land. And Marcus Millichap was the broker on one of them. And it's the whole setup, the whole system is made so that they control the inventory, and they pretty much want to keep everything in-house. And that's the same way with all the other big ones. I think that, that's definitely not a benefit. It doesn't help you, and I think
no, it's not. It's not cooperation like residential MLS, where residential agent welcomes a cooperating agent. Commercial changed in the last 10 years. What I would say to someone on the team is, that guy got the deal. He got the listing, so it's doable, isn't it? It's attainable, isn't it? Get the listing. What are we doing wrong? Let's script. Let's talk. How many people are you calling a day? Are you following up? You know, at the end, the only person to blame is yourself on that. Can't blame me. Can't blame it. Just yourself. You're not getting the inventory. What are you doing wrong?
Right.
What should you be doing? Who are you not calling?
Right. Roger said that he had a pretty good experience with Marcus Millichap, but I mean, I'm not saying it's like that with everyone, but the agents that we were involved with, they were not being helpful. They were trying to keep everything in-house, and they tried to almost sabotage the deal. And I've had that issue multiple times, not just with Marcus Millichap, but with other ones as well. So I'm glad you had a good experience, though. I wanted to ask you also, what is the going cap rate today? What should someone, if you have a buyer that's interested in buying?
The going cap rate before everything kind of went on pause was, if you can demonstrate it's a value add deal, I'd say between a 5.5 cap. I did a deal in Aventura, the 64 unit deal. That was a 4 cap, but it was a crazy location. There were buyers for 5.5 caps. Then the question really to that is, what expense ratio are you using to come up with a cap rate? Learning the hard way, we underwrite the deals like banks do, and like how buyers do north of 2008. We pretty much go somewhere between 40 and 45% on the expenses. In the old days, I would skinny out maybe the management, no reserves, my repairs and maintenances, trying to beef up the NOI. It doesn't look good. It kills relationships. It is what it is. So we use 40 to 45% expense ratios to come up with that 5.5 cap. And that was acceptable for a lot of buyers.
You're saying about the average of expenses is about 40 to 45% on apartment buildings?
On the apartment buildings, like if you go to LoopNet today and pull up any property that says 7 or 8 and you ask for their expenses, I guarantee you they're missing expenses. They'll probably just have property insurance and water, sewer, and trash, if that.
Right.
And they'll say, I got an 8 cap. The knowledgeable commercial agent will be like, listen, you didn't account for taxes turning around with the sale. Your insurance is kind of low. You're operating on $200 a door insurance when it's more like $500 to $600. We would teach you what is the average water bill run per unit. Where's it should be about, let's say, 35 to 40 a unit. You do the math on some of these, you're at 15 a unit. Come on, it costs more than 15. We put in management, reserves. We put exactly what the bank wants to see. Kind of sucks on one hand because it kills the NOI a little bit, but it's what it is. Better know you have a deal from the beginning than, in the end, and the deal dies because your buyer says, oh, guess what? It wasn't a healthy enough deal. And we
That's
manage
really
the sellers.
important too, right? Being able to profile the transactional deal before you hand it off to your customer, kind of like see how realistic those numbers are,
Roger's saying here he sees, I think, fees at 1% to Miami Beach. I think on commissions, I think.
I don't, it depends.
Oh, cap rate.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean,
yeah.
1%? 1%?
Well, the problem with Miami Beach is Miami Beach changed since 2014, in my opinion. South of 2014, people were willing to pay and go into these low cap rates to Miami Beach because it was Miami Beach, South Beach, Lincoln Road. Wow.
Right.
Since then, owners have educated themselves with our counties, and they're like, I found a 30-unit building at a 5.5 cap on it. Nowhere land street and nowhere land west of 95, and it's income. I'm good with it. The owners aren't married anymore to saying, buyers aren't married anymore to saying, oh, I bought on Miami Beach. Those days are over. And the sellers of Miami Beach don't realize that because that's what it used to be. I did 18 buildings in Miami Beach. It used to be, oh, Miami Beach, Miami Beach. Buyers today are like, I can go to Pompano off of Federal Highway, whatever street. There's a 6 cap over there with 45% expenses. And they'll buy it. Nobody's, beating their chest saying Miami Beach anymore.
That's really interesting because that's a big difference in commercial real estate when it comes to those type of properties with the cap rate. I mean, of course, that the lower the cap rate, the better the area. The higher the cap rate, the worse the area. But when it comes to those type of buildings, like, for example, the building on Lincoln Road over here that actually it was my former landlord. He bought it for $12 million. That whole block on Lincoln Road. He bought it for $12 million. I think it was back in 2003 or something like that, or 2006 actually. And then he sold it for $300 million. Okay,
wow.
That block on Lincoln Road. So that's those are of course like speculative. I mean, no one could have guessed. Known that the value would go up so much, but that's one extreme, and very rare. But when people are buying those kind of A class, is it that have very low cap rates? I mean, they can't be buying based on the cash flow. They got to be buying for other reasons. I mean, but I'm also thinking that it can't be pure speculation. So I know you're talking about and there's your niche and what you focus on, but what's your insight about that? I mean, are they mostly fund buyers, hedge funds that buy those type of properties, or insurance?
Well, I knew a good friend of mine did a lot of deals on Lincoln Road a few years back, and he would talk to me about his buyer all the time. And the buyer also bought buildings in Design District. And, I was like, why is he doing this? The income's not there. He was like, Jacob, banks are throwing money at him for free. Basically, he's so credit worthy. He has nothing to lose but to pay these prices to own the buildings, income or not. It's just his relationships with his banks. That was the answer he gave to me. That's why he's paying $30 million for a building that makes no sense. It was his relationship with his banks.
Right.
So that's an answer there. But, I don't think the business is sustainable to try to go for those home run hits of that one guy who's going to.
Right. That's very rare. That's not even common, even with the heavy hitters and the big hedge fund managers. But I just wanted to bring that up because it was interesting. It was right here on Lincoln Road, and this actually shows more of the value that's being brought to customers, whether sellers or buyers, and being that the profession that we're in, bringing the value, knowing the numbers, crunching the numbers. When it comes to the specific type of properties out there, can you just mention a couple of the previous properties that you've done, what type of properties they were, and what they closed for and such.
Well, like I said, I did about 18 buildings in Miami Beach, 200 units in Overtown, about 400 units in Liberty City, a couple of 60-unit buildings in North Miami, bunch of units in Little Havana. I sold the Starlight Motel in West Brickell, next to Brickell City Center. That went for like $24 million.
Nice.
Just all over town. Fast forward today, like the goal today, back then, I was younger, a little more of a hog. Maybe I didn't want to work with people. But today I think looking for the future is to grow a team where we can specialize in all the areas of Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. And, my thing is I like multifamily. We are working a couple of development deals now, but if someone stepped forward and said, I want to be a warehouse guy, I want to be a retail guy, I want to be an office guy, let's do it. But let's concentrate on inventory. Buyers will come, the buyers will come, the buyers will come. Let's wrap our heads around inventory and control inventory. That's where we can sustain ourselves.
Right. I had another question here from Jay. He's asking, how long does it take on an average to sell a commercial property?
How long from start to finish to payday?
Beginning.
It could take, let's say maybe you get it. Depends the time of the year. Also, you get it. Maybe it takes you 2-3 months to get under contract. You may do a 60-70-day contract, a couple of extensions here and there. It could take you, 4 months to see the check.
Right.
Then I've had buyers that close in 30 days. My deal in Brownsville went for 7.6. It was a 3% deal. It was like a $230,000 commission. It was supposed to be a 70-day contract. I think it ended up being 5 months. But hey, $230,000. I waited the 5 months, but I was making sure everyone was doing what they were supposed to do, and also, in making sure everyone's in the right place with extensions. That the buyer was putting the right amount of money in escrow, and if he was asking for something from the seller, he had to get something. Can't be asking for extensions without, let's say, putting some money hard. What do you want to put on the table to get some more time? So in that deal, I negotiated, which was in the best interest of the seller, and the buyer got his more time, $500,000 hard in escrow. So my position as a broker, in navigating that was in the event that the buyer decided to move on and not buy the property, is $500,000 in escrow that we have in writing. Half of it is payable to the broker, not to exceed their commission.
Wow.
Right or wrong, that's in the contracts. Not to exceed the commission.
And that was a $500,000 hard.
Yes, I was getting paid whether they bought it or not.
Nice.
But maybe the next agent, not knowing what he was doing, when it said, no, let's just give extensions and, not really thinking about where the deal is at. Putting the buyer a little to the fire, but not too much to the fire. Making sure the seller's in a good way where, if that deal does go upside down, Jake, if he tied me up for 5 months, the end, what? He only had $100,000 in escrow?
Right.
He had $500,000, and he got his 3 more months.
Just the right kind of overlooking and mentor can only teach you something like that. That's something that's like just a little difference will make a big payday or not. I mean, because the deal has to close, in a situation like that, when you negotiate, then, bam, you just put yourself in a situation where, hey, I'm getting paid no matter what. And this is so important. It's super important on dealing with.
I had a listing, I think it's the one that is on the, I speak about on Miami Beach on 71st Street. That deal took us a year to sell. We were under contract 4 times. 4 times it fell out of contract.
4 times, wow.
4 times. And instead of giving it back, putting my head in the sand, clamming up, getting negative, going depressed or whatever.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to get this thing sold. We got it sold full price. Meant more money in my pocket. So if I got delayed in getting paid by 3 months or whatever it was, I made more money in the end.
Nice. It becomes almost like a challenge, like, you know, as opposed to approaching it in a negative way. You
Yeah.
look, you
No,
know,
I can kind of smell if it's going to sell or not, you know, and
right,
I
right. No,
can tell if it's a
for
good deal
sure.
or not, if it's going to sell. And it could be, I've sold 4 cap deals. I'd be like, I know this one's going to sell.
Right, right. Um, so can you tell everyone how they can take advantage of this? Now, for all the people who are not with us, and also I'm not a London Foster agent, and also the people who are London Foster agent, we have this amazing program, and I want Jacob to tell them exactly what to do if they were interested in joining your team, because we actually have this program where you can, whether you're in Dade County, whether you're in Broward County, because I saw one of the questions we're asking, okay, are you only in Dade County or in Broward? But I know that we had talked about this, and we go all the way from Dade County all the way to West Palm Beach. So now things are a little bit different because I know that the people, you know, you would need to all meet together. But hey, we can all work around that, work virtually, whatever. The important thing is that we have this, and this is a great time to be able to take advantage of this. But you can just tell everyone what they need to do if they want to.
Listen, it's
questions about it.
someone has interest in getting into commercial real estate, you know, contact Bobby, contact myself, and let's talk about it. You know, what your goals would be, or, you know, full time, not, and I'll give you the ABCs. I'm not sugarcoating anything about the business. I'll tell you how it is, you know, and if it sounds like a fit, let's go for it. You know, I think it's like it's you know the ultimate challenge. We're out there, we're hunters, we're hunting for inventory and making deals. If you're down with it, let's do it. I'll give you anyone's on the team. I'll tell you, I'm always available for a phone call. I'm always available 110% of my time. I'll hold your hand. You know, I'll teach you the deal. I'm always there to answer. We'll always have conversations, pros and cons about a deal. Why do you think this? Why don't you think that? I'll give you 100%. You know, but 100%. You know, you do your part, and let's get some buildings and conversations going with owners and get deals done. You know, I think now is the best time to call owners and establish positive relationships, because when the floodgates open and that tidal wave goes, we want to be riding that wave, making deals, not trying to catch up to the wave and say, oh, sorry, I've been with my head in the sand during Corona time, and now I'm ready to make the calls. Then it's going to be too late. You know, you can try to call owners. They're going to say, I've already had enough calls. I already know my Jacob. I already know who I'm speaking to. You want to be ahead of the curve. Let's be ahead of the curve. We have time.
Right, that's very important now, because I mean we stress that, we're saying that, but you know, people are just thinking that we have more time. No one knows when this Corona thing's going to be over. It could literally be over with next week, next month, next 6 months, next year. But it's better to be prepared now than wait, and then, you know, all of a sudden now you're scrambling for the end, or scrambling to get yourself.
Bobby, I call you and you're a property owner of a warehouse, and you like our conversation, and I meet you and we keep our 10 feet away or whatever it is, or we do a Zoom, and I keep in touch with you every 3 or 4 weeks. You'll know who I am if it's 4 months from now. And when you're getting bombarded by phone calls, you'll see me calling. You'll have my name saved in your phone. You'll take the call. You'll be like, yeah, Jacob, you've been talking to me for the last 4 months. We'll have a better phone call than the 30 agents who are calling you, who are just calling you because they're trying to catch the wave. We'll already be on the wave. Hey, Bobby, you know, where are you at? You know, you're either going to tell me everything is good, bring me my buyers at a 5.5 cap, or you're going to tell me, Jacob, my collections are shit for the past 4 or 5 months, and I'm no longer at $4 million. I'm at $3 million. But I only take the $3 million if it's a quick deal. Bring me one of your cash buyers. But you'll have the confidence and have that conversation with me.
Right.
You know, you may not want to say that to a guy you're like, who the hell are you again? You'll feel better to talk to me about it.
Right.
You know, now is the time, instead of us doing nothing, you know, to talk to owners and get as many conversations as we can.
Right. I mean, all the filter has to have is the dedication and the time. And I mean, what more do you have than now of that than now? And that's, I mean, there's really no excuse out there. I mean, I know a lot of people are scrambling to also make some money and you know, make ends meet, but the government's also given a lot of help out there. I don't know, you know, realtors out there have applied for some of the government help, but there's a lot of help out there. So what better to do than to, if you're interested and you're dedicated, to take a step back and apply yourself in the commercial field so that you can be ready. So when the time comes, you can hit the ground running. I think that's it. And this is I think this is a great program. It's one of the things that attracted me to your program and your team. And I'm glad that we made this partnership. I think it's amazing. You're already started. You've already worked with quite a few of our agents, right? Already.
The thing I want everyone to realize is real estate's a numbers game. If you jump aboard in the commercial real estate, you're making calls, you're establishing relationships with owners. Let's put it this way. In the next 12 months, if you have to call 1,000 people and you only make 3 deals next 12 months, they're not $10 million deals. They're $3 million deals. Nothing huge. What's 3% of $3 million deals? 3 of them.
Right. Well,
I come up with $270,000.
Right. 270,000.
Is it worth all the calls? Is it worth putting on all the time? You only did 3 deals.
Right.
$3 million deals. Let's make it $2 million deals. 3 small $2 million deals. I think it's a pretty good year, right?
Right. I think that's a great, because I think that now, especially, there's going to be a lot of pent up demand. There's going to be some people out there that have already missed the boat. So if you're in there preparing yourself now, that you put in, you're making the calls and everything like that. When this is over and when this starts to go away, then you'll be able to take advantage of that. I think personally, I don't know what you think, but I think personally that there's going to be a lot more results after this goes away than before. Before I think a lot of the buyers and sellers had the same phone calls that they get every day, or that they're used to it. But now there's going to be some of that pent up demand. I think that now people need to take advantage of that. So when it's over with,
I think this thing is going to be better than. Let's put it this way: if everything got shut down, let's say March, right? So the guy who was shopping in December and January still didn't find his investment property, hasn't bought. Let's say the guy from January 1st, he hasn't bought any investment property. He doesn't buy anything until October or November. He's had all this liquid cash sitting, whether it's his or his investors, making nothing. When the floodgate opens in October, November, for example, I think guys like that are going to be racing to every property, calling Richard, Roger, Ted, Rachel, everybody on this, all the attendees saying, what do you got? My investors are screaming that money's been sitting in the bank doing nothing for 10 months. You know what? We don't need 7 or 8 caps. We're good with a 4.5 cap because we haven't made any money all these months.
Right.
What do you got? Richard, what do you have? Who are your 3 top relationships you have on Warehouse? Maria, Roger, what do you got? Don't tell me someone that hasn't given you information. It's got to be a guy that you've been able to extract information from him. Because then I know you got a hook in his mouth.
Right. It's got to be someone that you already built rapport with.
And at that point, we start bringing buyers and sellers together. If they're not listings, we protect ourselves with the NDAs. We can't get NDAs or anything in place. We meet with them. We use old school body, vibe, and language to see if we're comfortable with who the buyer is and who the seller is. Jacob, that guy, I don't know. I don't know about that guy. Yeah, I kind of got a bad vibe too. Let's not bring in the deals. We do it old school, but we need to be on top of the wave when it happens. Do you market your listings using LoopNet and CoStar? No, I don't. And not that it's not a good thing. Well, LoopNet and CoStar, let's say, I think was good up to like 2006. Everybody was doing it. The temperature on the street is the buyer. If it's on LoopNet or CoStar, for some reason the buyer's like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Oh, it's been around the block. It's been hoarded out. I don't want to see it.
Right.
I'm not saying that's good or bad, but that's how they feel about it. Let's assume that, they're just being strange and weirdos about feeling like that about CoStar or LoopNet, and they're completely wrong. The other experience I've had with LoopNet and CoStar is I put a building on CoStar. Now I got to manage all these emails and phone calls from a guy from Iowa that doesn't know the freaking market, or from North Dakota or some other area that doesn't know our market. Well, I feel like educating him on our market and giving him every reason why rental this and that. And no. I don't feel like doing that. I'm sorry. I want a guy who gets it, who's a buyer, who knows our market, and I don't have to educate him as to that Brickell City Center, 14th Street takes you over to Miami Beach. That is called Lincoln Road. If I got to do that, I don't. That's what you're getting in my opinion. You're getting all this interest. You're going to have to funnel out, and it'll be a waste of time. Or unfortunately, you'll get people who aren't specialists in commercial real estate that don't know how to manage their buyers. And how do you know they've qualified their buyer? And then they end up wasting your time.
So you're saying
at the end, to get your own buyer.
Right. You're saying it's better to keep it off market than advertising.
Listen, we get the attendees here get 10 properties in the next 12 months. Why can't we work on at least the first 30 days of getting our own buyers? We have CoStar. We can pull up who's bought a warehouse within that subdivision the last 2 years. Call them up. Call up 200 owners of warehouse and ask them if they're in acquisition mode for a warehouse that you are holding off market for 30 days. They've got a head start to see if they want to buy it. You're doing two things. One, you may pick up the buyer. And two, hey, besides a buying opportunity, Bobby, because you own warehouses, any interest in selling your building or your portfolio? Maybe pick up a guy who wants to sell.
Right.
Now you're managing, you know exactly what Bobby thinks about things and not. Instead of going through another agent, how do you know he knows the business? How do you know he's presenting your offers? How do you know a lot of things? I'd rather put my ability to make money in my team than a guy from Remax that I don't know who the hell the guy is. And I got to depend on this guy to know if he's managing his seller correctly, put money in my pocket.
Right. A lot of realtors think that it's normal that you should put it on the MLS or that you should put it on LoopNet, but that's really not commercial.
Listen, we'd rather make the calls proactively to find the buyers and, it's the phone call ringing. Who do you want to be? You want to wait for the phone to ring?
Right.
Listen, 20 years ago, that was me. I'd put on MLS and be like, yeah, let me wait for the phone to ring.
Right.
Today it's, let's make the calls. Team, we've got a deal in North Bay Village. This is what it is. Here's all the information. You guys have the database. You can
find the right buyers. I mean, you can find the right buyers for that. There's public record of the people who are buying.
We have all the databases of who's buying. And most of these guys aren't even looking at LoopNet anyway. Some of these guys will say, hey, if it goes to LoopNet, that's where deals go to die.
Yeah, that's what Eve just said. It was funny. She said LoopNet is where
I see. That's what they say. So it's like you're putting in the time to call the property owners. You're calling 100 people. You're going for it. You get the deal, whether listing or NDA or whatever it is, but you're like, Jacob, I have a comfort level with this deal. Why are you going to sit back and let's just put it on the air and just wait for the phone to ring? You did all that work. Get on the phone. Let's find the buyer.
Right, exactly. That's so true, and that's important because not only when you're doing that, you can make more money because you're getting both sides of the deal, but you're actually establishing your relationship with other potential customers, for future. So they're going to go to you because you're the person who brought them that deal that was amazing, that you were transparent on, that you were professional on, and that you built rapport with them. So that's really important. I know that you teach that in your program, and I think that's amazing. That's one of the most important parts of it is the sales part, connecting with your customer, connecting with the sellers out there. I know that we've been on here for quite some time. I don't want to just
Bobby, one last question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I think it's Ted. I can't see it very well. Is asked about using LinkedIn more than others. Can you just explain what he means by that?
Well, he says, do you use IG, which is Instagram? And he's saying, do you use IG, LinkedIn more than others? I guess he's trying to compare Instagram with LinkedIn with marketing your commercial listings.
No, I don't. And I'm not saying that LinkedIn, I like LinkedIn. I'm not saying that I'm doing the right thing by not using it. like I said, the 20-unit building in Little Havana, we'll pull up who are the major buyers in the area. We'll just start contacting them direct.
Right.
If it's a deal that we feel worth moving, we're going to sell like that. Go to our top 6 buyers, and if it's at least a real 5.5, whatever cap it was, we get a contract. We don't have to go that far.
Right. No, exactly. And that's interesting. I want to bring that back to what you said in the beginning. There's buyers everywhere. The idea and the deals try to get the seller, try to get the inventory, build your inventory. Because so many times I have people that come to me and says, I have a buyer for $100 million, for $50 million, for $200 million. Well, everyone out there is a buyer, but then you find out that they want a $100 million property at a 10% cap rate. Those two things don't mix. Okay. So they're telling you to find a unicorn, and they'll buy it for you for $100 million. So those are the things that you learn here and part of the details. And they get so hyper, they get so excited, which is great to have a buyer, but you have to be realistic and look at the picture.
You're saying an agent outside of London Foster will say I have a buyer for $100 million?
Some of the London Foster agents too that are not too familiar.
Listen, if someone calls me up and says I have a buyer who has $100 million, and not, I'm trying to check off as many boxes as I can so, London Foster agents can protect themselves and control as much of the equation as they can that equals getting paid. I'd say, great, let's have lunch with this buyer. Let me put on my Spidey senses hat on and let's meet this buyer.
Right, great point.
Sometimes I've met these guys and at the end I smell and I'm like, this guy doesn't have $100 million. He's either trying to get a date with her and trying to impress her by saying it's $100 million or something, or he's a poser. He doesn't have $100 million. And if he does, I called it out in a nice way.
Right.
What do you own? What's your bio? What's your website? Because you're asking me to spend my time. My time, I get paid
exactly
hourly. So if you have $100 million, you must have a business for an LLC that can be looked up on Google that I can see. John owns 18 trucking company or 5 Lear jets. That kind of money, there's got to be a paper trail of how did you make your money.
Exactly.
And if it's established, okay, Bobby, fine. He has $100 million. We looked him up. He owns all these properties, sold all these properties. He has a casino in Vegas. Yeah, he's got $100 million. Great. We vetted him out. He's met us. He likes us. We like him. Bobby, what do you want to buy?
Right. And you come in and you can talk to them and persuade them and convert them into, okay, this is what we can do, or eventually convert them into a buyer. Whereas
we tell them how it is. These are
right.
These are what the returns are. These are the prices. If you're looking for the 9 or 10 cap, I hear they're in Pittsburgh. You're not going to get it here. Well, I heard this. I saw it on LoopNet. Bobby, if there was a 9 or 10 cap, I would put it on contract. I would go get the money and I would buy the building and I would sell it to you at 5.5 cap.
Right, exactly. It's just right. That cap rate is right. So there's something out there for 10 cap. You'd be better just buying it. Anyone would buy it with you as a partner.
Absolutely.
And then sell 6 cap.
Listen, our goal, Bobby, like we've discussed, is sorry to use the expression, but for us to spread like a virus throughout the state of Florida and control.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun. Control the commercial market. Multifamily. Right. If there's a handful of guys that say, I'm not into multifamily, let's do warehouses. Well, let's do warehouses. Let's start in Dade and Broward and move all the way up where we have a controlling presence in all the markets in Florida.
Right.
And we're cooperating, we qualify, and we get deals done.
Right, exactly. I think there was another question here about the 1031 exchanges. How often? I've dealt with a couple of them as well. How often do you do 1031 exchanges and done any DSTs? Do you have a broker-dealer license?
So I don't have a broker-dealer license. On the 1031,
yeah,
I've done a handful of 1031s. A lot of people that you would maybe call today in prospecting, let's say, you know, Greg, I would sell my property, but then I got a 1031 into something. You know, so we have a script and a dialogue what to say to that. You know, because yeah, what are they going to do?
Right. So you have a separate system or script on how you handle those type of people, how you handle buyers, how you handle 1031 exchange.
I mean, what we try to say in a nice way is, you know, your property's worth $6 million. I get you $9 million. Let's not worry about the 1031. You know?
Right. I remember the last 1031 exchange I was working on. We had to verify anything. It was like the seller had no idea what was going on. The seller had no idea what to do. So we had to actually contact their accredited intermediary and get the information from them, because they're the ones that handle the money. They're the ones that hold the money. The seller's not allowed to touch the money. And then it goes into the accredited intermediary's account, into the title company who's closing the purchase. But then they found out that by the time that they told us, and then we reached out to them, it had expired. So that deal kind of fell through. I don't know if
in their time frame to identify the 1031.
I think it was like 45 days or 60 days, something like that.
You know, I've heard different things. I've heard it's 45 days, and then I've heard from the 1031 agents that don't worry about the 45 days. You know, I can't represent that, because one thing is we don't like liability.
Right.
You got to be on what I say. We don't represent or disclose anything we're not supposed to. You know, we make no promises.
Okay, just like the customer's always right, well, guess who's always wrong in their eyes? Okay, the realtor, the sales associate. You got to make sure you do your things on the up and up, 100% transparent, so that when the time comes, hopefully not, but you have your shit together, and they have no leg to stand on. They have nothing that they can hold on you, because you're doing everything right. You're being transparent, and you're disclosing everything. Disclose. So yeah, that's I think Ted said it was 45 for residential, but I think it was like 16 or something like that. I mean,
the deal from last summer, the 7.6 deal, we did a 1031 for that guy, and it was 45 days to identify.
Okay, right.
And we got him into a 1031. We found him a deal in Pompano, and he was very happy with it until, coronavirus.
Right. Unfortunately, coronavirus had scared everyone, but hopefully we can get past this and come out better. But I wanted to also just mention again, as far as if you guys are interested, whether you're a London foster agent or not, this is a great opportunity to become a London foster agent if you're not, and take advantage of this commercial program and mentoring program. And it's everything. It's all of the above. The information is being put in the chat room on how to get in touch with us, get in touch with Memo, and getting in touch with Jacob himself. Jacob is the real deal. You can Google him. You can see all the deals that he's done in the past. This is not just a one-time deal. He's been in the business. He is, a true commercial broker, and you're going to be learning from the best, learning from the person who's doing it on a regular basis every single day. He is our commercial director, and Jacob is dedicated. He brings value. He adds value. The only thing that we are looking for, which is a win-win situation, is someone who has the drive. If you have the drive, you can offer the dedication. This will be a win for you, and this is something that will bring value to you, as well as education and experience. Because like I always say, there's a difference in learning the path and a difference in walking the path. With this program, you're going to be walking the path because you are entrenched in commercial deals as they're happening. So this is what's great about it. So I would encourage everyone who is interested and who has the drive to join. And you can reach out to me or Jacob, and we'll tell you all about it. So Jacob, I want to thank you for taking the time out your busy schedule. Now, I'm sure you had a little bit more time because of everything that's going on, but I'm glad we were able to grab you during this time, and you could help share your insight on your program and your commercial experience with us. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. And is there anything else you want to tell to anyone? We get a lot of thank yous here. We have a lot of people saying that was awesome. They're thanking you for all your insight and help.
Just if there's interest, contact myself or Bobby, and we're gladiators out there, fighting in the arena. The difference between maybe me and the next guy who will be suiting you up, putting the armor on you, and giving you the sword. I'm actually out there in the arena with you. So that's what I promised to you. Your back is up against my back. So
right.
I'm there to do the heavy lifting. I'm not there to just say, go out there and something happens, great. No, you'll be hearing from me every day, several times a day. I'm pushing you to make deals. It's not because I'm giving you $10 an hour. It's because look what the percents are in these deals. You get the deals going, I get the deals going, everyone's.
Right. That was one of the things that I thought was amazing, was that they you're on top of them, making sure they're doing what they need to be doing, and learning, of contributing, of making the calls. And then when there's that one or two or a couple of that actually result into a callback or whatever, then you take it from there and you close it. And seeing that and experiencing that is what's really separates this from anything else. But yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. Okay, thanks again. I want to appreciate, I want to thank you for taking the time to come out here and or actually be at your house and join us. And I want to thank you for that again. And I want to tell everyone out there, okay, we're having a pretty good lineup coming up in the near future for the next podcast, where we're trying to bring as many heavy hitters. Last week we had Tom Ferry. Today we have D. Jacob Serure. And then next week we're going to be having our star NFL player who is now a London Foster agent, believe it or not. Okay? So we're going to be, Rachel says, always bringing the noise. That's what we're trying to do, Rachel. That's what we're trying to do. So we have a NFL player. I'll give you a hint. I'm not going to tell you who he is, but we have an NFL player that is currently a London Foster agent. He used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if there's any Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there, you're definitely going to want to sign up. So you'll see that. And again, you'll see the emails going out for the advertisements. You want to sign up for that. Again, I want to thank Jason Serure and the SRE Commercial team. Thanks for joining us. And if you guys need to get in touch with him, again, like I said, his information will be in the chat. You can call him directly. You can call me, or you can call Memo. Reach out to any of us. We will put you in touch and get you started in the program. Okay? So
thanks, Bobby. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time.
Thanks, everyone, for coming out and taking the time, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, thank you for joining us. That was Jason Serure with the SRE Group. And I just wanted to mention here real quick that if there's anyone out there that is not a London Foster agent and you're interested in joining 100% brokerage, then you can reach out to Memo. His information is in the chat room. You can reach out to me, myself, as well. My information will be in the chat room. I want to thank everyone for joining. Your great questions. We always love that engagement. We love any challenging questions or any questions you have. Remember, every question is important. So we encourage you to ask on all of our podcasts. So make sure you tune in next week, because it's going to be amazing. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be our the NFL player that is now a London Foster agent. So thanks again for joining. It's great for us to all get together and ask questions and be engaged during this pandemic. Hopefully the pandemic will be over sooner than later. I'm looking forward to it. Everyone else should be looking forward to it. And so we can hit the ground running and really make some money. Now's a great time to take a step back and seize that the government's given a lot of help. you should apply for whatever's out there. I'm not a professional on that, but we're going to be trying to put out some new information regarding help so that all of us can pay our bills while we're out there trying to make deals happen, and also trying to kind of reorganize ourselves and learn more and take advantage of this downtime. So be ready for that, because we're going to be sending some emails about that as well. It was great having this podcast. I love doing this so we can kind of like all get information and get some takeaways from this. So thanks again for coming, and I'll talk to you guys soon.